Apple HomeKit Secure Video. What is that? Well, go back and look at one of our other videos on the channel, but basically it's Apple's foray into the home security world. And that's very exciting because as a security guy and as a tech guy and a huge Apple lover, so excited that Apple's getting in that game. But in light of certain announcements, and we're going to talk about that in a second, it kind of makes me realize what I really want to get out of Apple HomeKit Secure Video. And I just have come up with a little bit of a wish list. And today that's what we're going to talk about. What can Apple do to make a security guy like myself, and I think a lot of you out there, happy? Let's get into it. What up, everybody? It's George Langabeer with SILVERHAMMER Surveillance. Here on the channel, we talk tech, security, crazy loss prevention stories from back in my loss prevention day, but anyway, most of you know that. Today we're kind of talking tech and security, and again, we're talking Apple HomeKit Secure Video. Our last two videos were about the new announcements of the new Nest cameras from Google. If you know me, if you're a customer of ours, or if you've watched the channel, you know how much I've been waiting for those cameras. I wouldn't shut up about it. I wanted them to come out. We sold the crap out of the Nest IQ camera. It was a great camera, one of my favorites, and I just was waiting for the replacement because they just continued it so long ago. Well, those new cameras are out, and yes, I'm still very excited to get them in the hands of our customers. Still very excited to try it myself. But as a lot of you have commented and everything else, we kind of have some question marks on that announcement. Number one, the battery powered, that's great. Those cameras are battery powered, and again, watch my videos and we're talking about that announcement. But they're battery powered and they come with a magnet mount. Magnet mount's very convenient, but also makes cameras very easy to steal. Number two question mark on the Nest cameras is 1080p. In the world of HD, you have 720p, which seems like decades ago. 1080p, 2K, and 4K. Those new Nest cameras are 1080p, and that's fine and all. And we're going to talk about this in a second, why they're doing that. But in the world, today's world, we want options. We want 1080p, we want 2K, we want 4K. And so, talking about that announcement and thinking about it over the week, I'm a huge Apple lover, and I was just kind of thinking about how that announcement kind of applies to HomeKit Secure Video. Because as I just said, if you came in here to our showroom, I sold you Nest on the Wi-Fi side. Now, we're talking Wi-Fi cameras only today. You've got DVR and NVR systems. They're more of a full-blown surveillance system. That's a whole different story. Today, we're talking Wi-Fi cameras. But you came in here, I sold you Nest because, Apple HomeKit Secure Video is very cool, the service itself, but I can't really get behind some of the cameras they sell, and that's why I'm still steering people towards Nest. And it always have been, because the Nest IQ camera was a beautiful camera. We're going to kind of talk about how they can learn, everybody can learn from that camera and kind of move it into the future, including Apple, but even Nest themselves, and what they should have continued in the footsteps of that camera. But let's go back to Apple HomeKit Secure Video. So basically it's a service where basically different brands of cameras, you got Eufy, you've got Logitech, you've got Eve, several different brands are making these HomeKit cameras. And there's two different ways to do HomeKit. You can just use the features of the camera themselves and just have them in HomeKit, which means HomeKit is basically the home app on your phone. It's the smart home platform from Apple if you're an Apple person. So Mac, iPad, Apple TV, iPhone. That's a way to see certain cameras in your home app if you're an Apple person, if you have an Apple device. So that's HomeKit. It's all those different smart home devices go in that Apple Home app, and that's how you use them. And we've had videos on the channel about HomeKit. But anyway, so several different brands can put their cameras in HomeKit. Now you can just have them in there to view, or you can do Apple HomeKit Secure Video, and that basically actually transfers all the features of a camera into an Apple camera, basically. Even though it's not made by Apple, once it becomes a HomeKit Secure Video camera, then it basically is just Apple specific for the HomeKit features. Now, that's great, so you can go into your home app, you can review different incidents. So, you can review people, animals, pets. So those cameras will record and save anytime one of those events happen. So if you've got Apple Photos, the camera will automatically know, it's the person if you've named them in your Apple Photos. If not, you can go in and name them. So it's got good facial recognition. So there are a lot of cool features. With the new iOS update, you can see all your cameras on the Apple TV, which is great. So a lot of our customers are always asking, how can I see my cameras on a TV? Well, with the new iOS update, you can see all of them. So you got a nice interface where you can see all your cameras. And so that's great if you're just sitting there watching TV, you want to see what happens. Also, with HomeKit Secure Video, if it's a HomeKit Secure Video doorbell, somebody rings your doorbell, it automatically pop up on your Apple TV. And then obviously you also get alerts on your phone, iPad, and MacBook or Mac. So that's kind of how HomeKit Secure Video works. Again, go back and look at some of our videos on that. So in general, it's a beautiful service. But I just think there's a couple things that Apple can work on, and that's what today is all about. So what is that? Number one, Apple HomeKit, no matter what, if you just have it in HomeKit or you have the HomeKit Secure Video, even if you've got a 2K camera, which they're like, let's say Eufy, for example, you can get a HomeKit compatible Eufy camera, which is a 2K camera. So if you just use the Eufy app, that camera is 2K. But if you put that in the HomeKit app, the Apple Home app, it drops it down to 1080p automatically. So the reason they do that is because they kind of take an average of everybody, your average consumer, your average homeowner, and you got to think about what kind of internet they have. You know, on the Wi-Fi side of things, Wi-Fi camera side of things, you got to think about people's internet. It's very important because Wi-Fi is made to be inside your house. It's not made to go outside your home. And a lot of times people are putting security cameras on the outside of their house. So you got to, number one, consider the coverage of your Wi-Fi. Number two, you got to consider the speed of your Wi-Fi, the strength of your Wi-Fi. And so Apple kind of thinks about your average consumer and what they might have for Wi-Fi. And number one, up until this new iOS update that's coming out, they put a limit on your cameras. You know, you could only have up to 5. And what they're doing is they're basically just kind of taking into consideration a normal person's internet. All right, so you could have 5 cameras at 1080p. Well, number one on my wish list is give us some 2K options. Give it maybe even some 4K options. I know why you're worried about it, but I think you can do it. A lot of people nowadays are getting mesh routers and are worried about their speeds, so they're getting the higher tiers of internet. And there's a ton of us out there, and especially if you're into this kind of thing and you're kind of a tech geek, chances are you're probably going to have higher internet, and you're probably going to have the internet to support these things. I know Apple's trying to cover their bases across all your types of consumers, but even, you know, I'm a guy that deals with people every day, our customers every day, and I can tell you, even people that you wouldn't expect to have higher tiers of internet do. You know, so of course there's customers that are exceptions, but we are in people's houses every day, and most people have the internet to support pretty decent, you know, bandwidth and these cameras and everything. So come on, Apple, give us a 2K option, give us a 4K option. That's number one. Wish list item number one, 2K or 4K, please. All right, so let's move on to wish list item number 2, 24/7 storage. Okay, so HomeKit Secure Video, you got your camera up, you know, you can see it live anytime you want, but it is only saving when there's a person, animal, or vehicle, or motion, and motion can be anything, and that gets really annoying. So most people will use the people, animals, or vehicles. Me personally, I do the, here at the shop, I do the people and the vehicles because that's really all I'm worried about. So basically what that means is you can see it live anytime you want, but it's only saving when those incidents occur. People, vehicles, animals. Well, as I've said a couple times, I said it in my last video, I said it earlier, you know, there's a lot of times where that can fail. So let's say you've got a camera, somebody's stealing at your neighbors across the street. Police come to you, see you have cameras. You know, do you have the video of the person across the street? Well, if that person was hidden or far enough away and your camera didn't recognize him as a person, yeah, you've got that camera, but it didn't record it. So 24/7 storage, and this is where I, you know, watched my last video on the Nest Aware service. What I loved about Nest Aware and still do is it records 24/7, but only alerts you when there's an incident. So now with those new Nest cameras, you can get alerted for people, vehicles, and animals. So it'll alert you for that. But if you get the 24/7 option of Nest Aware, it records 24/7. And I can't tell you that one of the big reasons that we sell Nest so often is that exact feature. Because a lot of cameras only record when there's motion or certain different events, and you miss a lot. And then you regret the fact that you spent all this money on the cameras, but you missed it. So HomeKit Secure Video is great. But, you know, even in my tests, as I try them in my own home and at this shop, sometimes it'll miss things. And so Apple, Give us the 24/7 option. I know you're being generous and including this in your iCloud because with HomeKit Secure Video, if you've got certain iCloud tiers, if you're paying $9.99, for example, with this new iOS 15 update, you can have unlimited cameras that record events at 1080p. But come on, I mean, iCloud's a big deal. You've got a lot of space on those servers. Just give us 24/7 storage as an option, even if we have to pay a little bit more. I mean, Nest Aware, for example, at $12 a month. There's other services that are right around that. If we have to pay a little bit more, I'd love that 24/7 option because I'm a huge security guy, and obviously, I just want to sell people the perfect option. And I'm just as a guy that likes to catch crooks, I want that 24/7 option so you don't miss anything, so our customers don't miss anything. Just give us 24/7. All right, on to the next wish list item. And that is the way these cameras are designed. Now, again, this isn't Apple's fault because these are not Apple cameras. Now, on a side note, I'd love for Apple to actually design their own camera. That would be fantastic because we all know that Apple sometimes is a little bit behind, but once they get into it, they do it the best. And you can debate me in the comments, debate me all you want, but I try all this stuff myself. I test all this stuff myself, and I'm telling you, I always go back to Apple. So Apple, give us a camera. But they don't have one. So all these HomeKit Secure video cameras are from other companies. Again, like Eve, Logitech, Eufy. They make some great cameras, but what I don't like is most of them is the design. One of my favorite things about the Nest IQ camera, and this is the only Wi-Fi camera I could say about, is the way it was designed. They kind of figured it out. Most of these Wi-Fi cameras have a wire that comes off of the camera and is not hidden at all. So when you install these cameras I know they're aiming it at your normal homeowner that needs to install these things. They don't have a lot of experience, but there are a lot of our customers that are almost at the professional level, or big enough tech geeks, or big enough into this that they would install it correctly. But definitely for someone like myself, and I'm not the only one out there that professionally installs these for people. Most of these cameras have a wire that come off of them. And so if you're trying to professionally install these, if you're trying to hide the wire, not have wires all over the outside of a person's house, not having to use an outside plug-in because a lot of people don't have those, we need a camera that doesn't have that. The Nest IQ, the outdoor, check it out. I mean, the cable was hidden by the base. So basically you could put the camera up on a soffit of a house, you could run the cable up into the attic, and what we would do a lot of times is we'd run the cable through the attic, and we'd use, let's say, like the garage door opener in your garage. So we'd have that cable completely hidden. We'd use the garage door opener outlet in the garage and run it back to that. And then you wouldn't see the cable at all. It looked nice and professional, almost like a DVR, NVR type camera system, which is where they look a little more professional. So these Wi-Fi cameras, it's like, again, this is no fault of Apple's. These are the people that make the cameras for them. A lot of them have that wire, and I don't like it. So come on. And this goes back to Nest in this latest announcement. They are offering an outdoor weatherproof cable for those new cameras, but it's going to come off the camera and you're going to see it. So what happens is, and you can see here in my example, is there's the Nest IQ nice and flush mounted, and then you've got this Logitech Circle View camera where I had to have a little bit bigger hole for this wire to get back in to plug it in. Now you can see here that pretty much no matter what you do, you're going to have that little bit of hole showing. Whereas with the Nest IQ, we didn't have that. You can see it right here. Nice, clean install. So I just got to think that somebody out there, I mean, the Nest IQ was sold to all different types of people. Yes, there were the professionals like us that would professionally install it for you, make it look a little nicer. But I got to tell you, there are other people out there that can handle this type of install and make it look nice and clean. I mean, you're putting these sometimes on $1 million homes. You don't want a stupid wire hanging out of it. So please change the design of some of these cameras, and I'm begging you, Logitech, Eve, Eufy, all of you. Now, Eufy's got some different options, but they're not all HomeKit Secure compatible. So they do have some cameras that kind of can be installed like the Nest IQ, but they're not in HomeKit. So again, this is my HomeKit Secure Video wish list. I want a camera that we can install professionally. I want a camera that our customers can install and make it look like it was professionally installed. So the design is another huge one. So please give us some options. 1080p, 2K, 4K. Give us 24/7 storage options. Even if we have to pay a little bit more, I promise you there are people out there that will pay it. We want to secure our homes, even our businesses, whatever it may be. But in general, these are designed for your home. So just give us the options to really help us protect ourselves, to prevent, with facial recognition, cameras are so huge in protecting ourselves. I mean, you watch my controversial security system videos. I'm a huge believer in cameras over burglar alarms because they are preventative. They are much more proactive than reactive. They're alerting you before a criminal gets to your home. Facial recognition, vehicle recognition, animals. A lot of times you're living in a area where wildlife is a problem, bears and all sorts of things. So all those things are alerting you before these things actually happen, and proactive is the way to go. So I love that. But you got to give us the options to do this professionally. You got to do us the options to make it right. We need to have everything recorded so we don't miss anything. We need to have it in a clarity where the police are like, wow, this is the clearest footage I've ever seen. Wow, look at that facial description. Look at that vehicle description. Oh my God, I can see his tattoo. Whatever it may be, we need that kind of clarity, and that's 2K or 4K. And yeah, 1080p to a certain extent, but 2K, 4K really gets it done. But that 24/7. So whatever that camera's looking at, it doesn't miss anything. If it doesn't recognize as a vehicle, if it doesn't recognize as an animal or a person, it still records it. We need that. And again, not just for us professionals, a little redesign. I mean, just everybody, just every camera designer, look at the Nest IQ Outdoor. It was a beautiful design. It was locked to its base. That's the other thing. With this new Nest camera, you can just walk up and steal it. Arlo. The reason I don't talk about Arlo a lot is because I've always just thought they were so easy to steal. They've got little magnet bases, and yeah, Nest is going to replace your camera if it's stolen, but why do we have to get that far? The Nest IQ locked to its base. I've shown people in my showroom here where I try to pull it off. I've actually pulled the whole shelf off the wall that my Nest IQs are attached to. I love the fact that it was locked to its base, and you had to have a special tool to unlock it. I love the fact that that wire was hidden behind it, so we could do a nice professional install just like a DVR NVR system. It looked beautiful. It looked legit. It looked, classy. It looked professionally done. So come on. Just a very simple wish list. I mean, it's been done. The Nest IQ is a perfect example. But man, I'm an Apple lover. And yes, I will always love Nest, and I can't wait to get my hands on those. And I'm excited for my customers that have already bought them. But, Apple HomeKit Secure Video is fantastic. They're making huge, with the new update with the TV OS, you can see all your cameras on your TV now. They've taken away the camera limit. You used to be able to only get 5. Now, if you pay $9.99 with iCloud, you get as many cameras as you want. So I really think that Apple is making strides and really concentrating on HomeKit Secure Video, because in today's tech world, you have to. I mean, sorry, Amazon, you didn't even make it to this conversation because I just don't believe in Ring, and watch our video on why that is. But, you've got Ring, you've got Google, you've got Eufy, you've got Arlo, you've got all these other Wi-Fi options. So I'm so excited that Apple is really kind of concentrating on that. And again, I'd love for you to make your own camera, Apple, please. So I think you'd actually listen to some of these suggestions and actually do it right. But, HomeKit Secure Video as is very cool. The Nest cameras that I talked about, they're cool. I'm excited for them to come out. But I just think there's a couple little tweaks that can get us to perfection. Oh, speaking of minor little tweaks to get us to perfection, I do have one more bonus wish list item for Apple HomeKit Secure Video. More video doorbells. I mean, come on. The video doorbell started this revolution. When I started installing cameras back in the day, only shady people had cameras on their house. You were a drug dealer. You were doing something wrong. People were watching you because they thought you were, you had something to hide. Then the video doorbell came along, and we do have Ring to thank for that. So thank you, Ring. Video doorbell came along and made that just completely a different world. Now it's so socially acceptable. It's the first question police ask when they enter a neighborhood, when there's a crime committed. Does anybody have cameras? And that's all because of the video doorbell. Well, HomeKit Secure Video, yeah, they've got some cool ones. The Logitech Circle View doorbell, there's a couple others, but there's only a handful of them. And with the new, additions to iOS 15 and tvOS, where you can Your HomePods can announce who's at the door. You can see who's at the door on your Apple TV, which is so cool, much like Google Home does with the Nest Hubs. But anyway, we're talking Apple. It's so cool, but there's just not that many options. And since the video doorbell revolution is what started us here, when I first started doing this, we did 80% businesses, 20% homes. And now we do 80% homes, 20% businesses, and that's because of the video doorbell. So even if Apple has to make one themselves, come on, give us more HomeKit Secure video doorbells. We need options. They're cool, and they all kind of fall under the same umbrella with the same features. But the design of these things are key. So even if you're getting the same feature out of all these different brands, give us some options. Give us some appearance options. Give us a couple of different features. Even if you have a separate app for your doorbell and it's got other features through your actual brand app, whatever it may be, that would be great as well. So that's kind of a bonus wish list item. Come on, everybody. Anybody involved with HomeKit Secure Video, give us some more video doorbell options. So that's my wish list. Hope you enjoyed this video. Do you agree with me? Do you have other wish list items that you would add? Please put in the comments, whatever those might be. Smash the like button on this video if you agree with me or like this video. Subscribe to the channel where we talk tech, security, crazy loss prevention stories, shoplifter stories, and come back for the next one. Until then, peace and love.